Fast lane to a hurricane.
Open road ready to roll.
Put pedal down right away.
Red line and I'm giving more.
City lights burn bright behind me.
Top down I push it to the floor.
Street signs center land speeding.
Burning hot, I feel ready to roll.
So, Brian, what should we review?
Probably something with Craig Sheffer in it. It is expected.
Voyage of the Rock Aliens it is!
Oh God.
Yes, Voyage of the Rock Aliens, starring our man, Craig Caveman David Boreanaz Schaefer. Also starring cult horror actor Michael Berryman and Pia Zadora.
Pia Zadora, the next not big thing? Pia Zadora from Santa Claus Conquers the Martians?
Oh yes.
That and this are too many campy crappy sci-fi films for one career. She's only in 9 films, that's almost a fifth of her career, and a third of that was playing herself.
We could watch Butterfly if you prefer, where she goes to Judge Orson Welles' court to try and win the right to marry her dad.
Yeah, actually, Pierre, maybe you should have stuck to shit sci-fi and knowing self-parodies.
Amazingly, the director of this, James Fargo, started off directing Clint Eastwood projects, stuff like Every Which Way But Loose and The Enforcer. He even worked on Duel with Steven Spielberg, but sometime in the early-ish 80s, his career took a nosedive and never recovered.
This film is basically a mid-80s rock musical doing a mid-50s rock musical, crossed with Earth Girls Are Easy. So, expect songs and dances, and aliens. And then expect Michael Berryman running around with a chainsaw because someone nailed a trauma film to the whole thing.
It already sounds like we're surfing on neon.
Yeah, that's impressive. Normally it takes about an hour or so for the neon to kick in.
Or one viewing of Kung Fury.
First question, what is the significance of the film's title that it was built several miles high in space? Is that the Mount Rushmore of a race of intergalactic letters?
And will its destruction lead to interplanetary war? Either way, a bigger war crime is the singing. It sounds like someone's crooning into an empty can of soup.
1,000 tears, sad days, open-hearted.
And the lyrics have a weird dreamlike quality, like if you were listening to vinyl while getting off on hairspray fumes in a retro clothing shop.
Falling night, have no fear from me tonight.
Jimmy and the Mustangs? Okay, I have to ask. Car or horse? There's no way they have the budget to invent scent cars. They spent it on that sweet-ass guitar-shaped spaceship. Anyway, these aliens somehow heard rock music and are on a mission to find its source. The ship's robot, Peter Cullen.
Yes, that Peter Cullen.
It is very weird to see him play a sub-MST3K robot.
To be absolutely exact, the ship's robot is Optimus Prime's testicle doing an impersonation of Soundwave.
I've narrowed it down to these 3.
He uses the ship's amazing tracking abilities to find and reject heavy source from the planet Finland, before tuning into a Jermaine Jackson, aka the Best Jackson, music video. Good, I want to see more from this Romeo and Juliet in a colour-coded post-apocalyptic musical race war world.
Wow, Jermaine Jackson's got on so much eyeliner, it's like he's wearing Pia Zadora. And her shades. Wait, Pia Zadora? Are they searching the universe for alternate versions of her? They should probably avoid the Lonely Lady verse. Just saying.
I am loving all the space niqabs the white guy in his space droogs have on. I'm about 40% sure Jermaine Jackson is playing Billy D. Williams. Ah, shit, an intergalactic Vespa! They're in space Italy!
Pia seems rather delighted that Jermaine's stalking her. He stole Michael's thriller jacket, so maybe she's just short-sighted and thought she'd bagged the rich one. Now Jermaine Jackson's fighting Tybalt on the castle ruins where Sean Connery died in Highlander, and no one seems to know how to throw a punch.
Oh crap, now everyone's involved. It's like West Side of the Tiber story in space. A dance fu melee that's one errant thrust away from starting a gay orgy. It's like all the extras in Fame at a civil war. You see, this is what happens when you let dancers choreograph fight scenes. Jermaine Jackson doesn't get laid.
What the hell was that?
Fear of a Black Planet.
From which? The film or the twat that's dressed like Basil Poe?
Both.
Well, that song sucked. And that's that. The upbeat, peppy song ends without any miscegenation and we're back on the spaceship. I would bet money that more black people appear in that segregated part of the film than the rest of it.
I would take that bet, but you're probably right. We're over 9 minutes in, and maybe the film can finally start. The robots tracked rock music to planet Earth, so he unfreezes the crew, who are being stored as action figures.
This is really stupid. I would say more, but it's affecting my mind already.
They should have called this film Attack of the Synth!
I hope they wake up in a good mood.
The crew are basically Spectrum from Captain Scarlet if the only colour was gay and they were as dumb as actual puppets.
Defrost procedure 100% effective. Correction, 84%.
And which of these idiots set the robot to Kevin Spacey mode?
Snap it up.
Being unfrozen 2,000 light years from Earth isn't an excuse to not sing about how happy they are to be heading for Earth, so this passes for music on whatever neon-crusted hell world they came from.
Where we all be in the 21st century.
You're going to arrive 15 years early. The titular rock aliens are played by the band Rhema. They started out as a Christian group that went to pop rock, and this was meant to be their big break.
The fact that you need to tell the audience shows how well that went. Holy crap, they're fantasizing about visiting the Guggenheim? You've not even seen Earth and you're fantasizing about visiting the Guggenheim! I've seen Crewmeister Cycle Part 3 and I don't even do that!
Gentlemen, we've arrived.
Ahem! Honky faggots from outer space!
I really hope you're referencing something. I can't help but think that people would have noticed if the beach had turned into a toxic waste dump long before setting foot on it, let alone trying to surf on it.
You can think that, but it's Lake Erie. They could probably set fire to it in real life. That shit was so polluted that the killer mutant octopus is probably the most realistic thing in the film. We get another music video that's 3 and 13 minutes. So are these two lesbians, or is it just the 80s?
I think it's the 80s.
Oh, hell. Look at all this amazing hair. It's mulletacular. There's so much hairspray, they probably created a new hole in the ozone layer just above this fucking beach. That hair would probably survive a tornado. I mean, they'd die, but they could be identified by their haircut.
I want real love, that's what I want. Never ending, full to the top.
Why is Pisadora dressed like Jerry Halliwell?
Jerry, hella crap.
I'd like to assure the audience that even at the time, this wasn't good music.
Whoever's dubbing Piazadora's singing voice sounds like a bad Mae West drag act.
That's her real singing voice.
Ah, yes, well, that explains it.
Never ending, full to the top.
Samuel L. Bronkowitz presents Linda Chambers recreating her classic role.
Yes, Pierre, walk in front of those swings and try to avoid being smacked in the face. I want an outtake where we find out if the hair doubles as a crash helmet. Holy crap, someone's actually doing an air saxophone. Oh look, hilarious, a fat person. A fat person with chocolate bars stuck to them. A fat person with chocolate bars stuck to them who was inexplicably stuck on the DVD cover for the UK release.
Give me that. Look at it. Look at it!
So the Watcher in the Water doesn't approve of quasi-lesbianism and so tries to kill one of them. They get saved, though, by Chekhov's fat chick. Well, she earned her spot on the DVD cover. Craig Schaefer, soon-to-be veteran of Nightbreed, Merlin the Return, Berserker Hell's Warrior, and Something with Steven Seagal arrives. He's either a local tough guy or a power bottom. Given the rating, I'm going to say power bottom.
It's Frankie.
Every time I see him, I'm shocked by how much he looks like David Boreanaz. Are we certain that he's not a clone that went hideously wrong a la Tom Hardy in Star Trek Nemesis? Schaefer wouldn't wear this much leather again until that Hellraiser sequel he was in.
Kill that radio!
Fucking hell, he crushed that so hard he destroyed the very concept of music!
As if the film didn't do that first. Hey!
I decide who sings with the band around here.
Schaefer in this is, for want of a better word, Music Hitler, in that he's really popular with assholes right now, and he won't let anyone else sing. And he enforces his will through stares and random twitching.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Oh, how progressive. The elderly perv's a woman.
That's Ruth Gordon. She won an Oscar for Rosemary's Baby. And her career's fall is just as mysterious as the dive she took out that window.
Sheriff, what happened?
Good question. What the fuck even happened there? One second she's cock-gazing, then she's looking at a very phallic-looking guitar ship, and then she's flat on her back ranting about aliens coming.
It's an attack!
I feel like we missed the best parts of the film's porn spin-off. Looking at the crew's choice of transport down to the Earth, I'm not sure they are aliens. Maybe they're from a dark alternate future where Bill and Ted started a new wave band. That's not smoke from the exhaust. That's how high they had to be to sign on to this film.
It is mandatory that this exploratory mission of interplanetary observation be accomplished without interfering or obtrusively...
Shut up and get to the next useful number already, Geordie LaForge.
This novelty Pez dispenser robot has to use his chameleon circuit to disguise himself as a fire hydrant because they're well known to move around small towns like this. I'm predicting a 98% chance he'll be peed on by a dog and it won't be funny.
Hey, Frankie, I'm closing in 5 minutes.
Craig Schaefer looks less than enthused about going back out into the world, where doubtless Paul Matthews has hunting parties searching for him. But as Adora arrives, apparently she lost track of him between about a minute ago and now.
And will someone please get Craig Schaefer a jacket that fits? That arse is very distracting.
I was with the pack.
Frankie, what am I gonna do with you? You spend more time with them than you do with me.
Oh, Frankie!
I think he's trying to come out. Do you think he's trying to come out?
I think that very few men that dress like that are in.
Not this time.
1 minute, please.
No, please.
I have my form reading.
I love the rack on the robots. It's just the little things, and the giant boob-shaped things. The aliens steal some random people's clothes, and we get approximately 1.3 seconds a nipple, clearly the upper limit for a PG. I love how this scene's in the film because for literally the rest of it, most of them are still in their uniforms.
Meanwhile, at the local teenage hangout, some of the cast are having some obviously labelled fun.
Dusty!
Yes, it's clearly not fun, but they're also clearly not teenagers, so it balances out.
I feel like I'm watching Top Secret, but without the parody, so basically I'm watching Top Secret.
This is not Belle Torbay.
There's no sense of pacing or logic to this, we just car crash from one scene to the next, and whether they have a song or not is decided by a coin flip.
I know I said this is like the 80s doing the 50s, but this song is more like the 80s dug up the 50s corpse, started wearing its skin and dancing in the moonlight.
Dusty! 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 Dusty!
Chuck, it's Marvin! Your cousin Marvin Berry? You know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this!
She my lover, baby, you know she drives me wild. Brothers, papas, sisters, brothers, uncles, crazy child.
Of course, because there's a saxophone in the actual 50s, this would have been classified as an interracial band and not been allowed to play here.
Did you polish my car yet?
I couldn't find a rag.
Who's this?
Craig Schaefer is! Oh. Go ahead, you go first.
No. You'd probably kill me if I go first.
I probably would. Craig Schaefer is Biff Tannen! And yours?
Craig Schaefer is very disappointing in his career. Like always.
His is better.
He's also so intimidating that he can make a man slap himself, much like I'm doing while watching this. Shaver's band is played by the Mustangs. They were much more successful than Rhema, who played the Rock Aliens, because they have a Wikipedia page. Wait, is this town called Spielberg? Really? That's somehow too dumb to make fun of.
It's also twinned with the town of Unfunny Joke in Mongolia.
So, in the local teenage hangout, Pia Zadora has an announcement.
I'm going to the ladies' room.
Singing and/or aerobics may or may not be involved. You don't want to know how.
Heh, Ping Zadora.
Try not to kill anyone before I get back.
That'll be tough. 90% of this place has really annoying haircuts. Anyway, the titular rock aliens finish their titular voyage to the less titular hangout and decide that their big titular robot can't go inside with them.
1359, perhaps you should stay out here.
They don't serve his kind in there!
Good idea.
Good idea. Maybe I can piss on a dog. Anyway, inside, most of the teens are trying to work out if the rock aliens objectively look any dumber than they do, while the aliens try to work out what the fuck's happening to the sound.
Keep looking, guys. You'll find the Foley artist at the bottom of one of those containers.
Pia Zadora is discussing Frankenfurter with this woman who styled her hair with jizz. It's an important conversation. So important, I'm going to talk over most of it.
It's just a phase he's going through. My hygiene teacher says this is normal behavior for young males.
And clearly 28-year-old males.
It'll pass in time as he's allowed to release his frustrations. You know, sexually speaking.
Diane, sex is not the problem.
It's that he's such a dick, he can penetrate me with a stare.
Precisely.
And Dee Dee, doesn't a guy like that bring anything out in you?
Vomit, I hope.
Or, at the very least, spontaneous musical numbers.
Well, let me put it this way.
I almost prefer the vomit.
Kudos to them for really embracing the shitness of the song. Wait a sec, I got a great idea.
I'm a scat man.
I think we're all well aware of how much sexier this would have been if the Craig Sheffer spank material was from any other film but this one. You know, I often wondered why women go to the toilets en masse. The gents has hardly any room for dance numbers at all.
Huh, looks like the rock aliens brought with them the advanced technology of mirroring the fucking shot.
I, of course, invented that years ago. Yes, indeed, I fucking did.
Simple yes or no would have been fine.
Okay, that was kind of funny.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't!
We now return to the scene that was so rudely interrupted as the rock aliens decide to pour drinks down each other's tops, because the script was running short and that was the least unfunny thing the writer could think of.
Yeah, that's okay.
You don't get it. It's funny because that guy in blue looks like a cross between Miles Teller and a thumbnail. It was a very esoteric joke for 1984.
Anyway, the film's decided that it badly needs a plot, so the leader of the rock aliens, ABCD, or Absad, instantly falls in love with Pia Zadora, and turns into the intro of the Crystal Maze, crossed with a PG-rated cum shot. Hello? Is this the arm you're looking for?
Yeah, some guys will do anything to impress a girl.
I can only ejaculate confetti out of my neck stump when I'm halfway up a mountain and surrounded by dudes.
I've heard of blowing your load, but he literally blew his load. They grab all the pieces, hoping the witnesses will assume it's just the 80s, and through a long and unfunny Benny Hill type thing, they all get back to the ship behind the sheriff's back. Back on it, they rebuild him by sticking the pieces into a wall and printing out a picture, which is fed into another wall, and then another picture is printed out, which they then inflate. It's like a substandard goodies sketch, and even worse, I'm pretty sure the soundtrack's going on about farm machinery for some reason.
Ooh, I've got a great big combine harvester, and it's me, the keyboards.
And it's a euphemism!
Nice touch with the overinflation. I hear David Lopan creates his minions the same way. Great tractor, guys. You know, it's times like this when you wonder if it's you or the film that's high. Look at those faces. Craig Schaefer definitely has a better tractor than that, but he doesn't feel like showing it off, because tractors are for dorks, man.
Bury your face.
Oh, so that's where they hid all the excess cocaine. Holy shit. This film had excess cocaine?
Absinthe?
Yes.
She gives all the rock aliens names based on the letters on their tunics. You might remember this technique for alien naming from my Actium Maximus War of the Alien Dinosaurs review. Of course, I used the more advanced version involving Scrabble.
We got FG and Jack Plum. Not queer.
Funny, he doesn't look like a nut queer.
Yes, he does. Look at that outfit.
I mean, you're really gnarly, you know? It's good sound. I'm head of the entertainment committee on the Heidi High Cotillion, like a dance thing, you know, we have.
This is the woman from the loo with Piers Adora. She's got the down-to-earth New York charm of a woman who just came from being a Martin Scorsese extra and went right back again after they finished filming this. She's hardly an important character, but she's the one who gets to name the rock aliens. Honestly, I'm thinking Zadora didn't want to be sexually harassed for half the scene.
Given about half her film choices, I find that reasoning a little bit hard to believe.
Anyway, through their ability to be the Asylum's answer to Devo, the rock aliens have landed themselves a real tractorless gig that night.
Great.
But before that, it's time for a dream sequence about singing, because we can never have enough singing, apparently. We see Pia Zadora is dressed like Gurmar from Santa Claus Conquers the Martians' teen rebel phase, and they're dancing on the Genesis planet from Wrath of Khan. I think this, Fake Out, and Butterfly, the incest drama thing, kind of prove that Pia Zadora's agent did about 10% of the cocaine in Hollywood in the 80s. Now that might not sound like a lot, but actually yes it does.
Now I found my little bit of heaven, feeling like an angel.
Hide and seek in the vape storeroom is so romantic. After he finishes the driest wet dream in history, Absed sends the rest of the crew off on a mission and decides to use this machine to force Pia Zadora to fall in lust with him.
Nothing rapey about that.
It's not called Voyage of the Cock Alien, so she'll probably be fine.
Sir, I think you're being hasty with the sexual response stimulator. It's never been used in this galaxy before.
Also, are you sure you want to take Frankie's title as worst person in the film? Anyway, hilariously, he gives it a go, but didn't realize that it had a gay setting.
It's a mistake. Your feelings of attraction are caused by an electronic device.
Oh, now rape's a problem.
I'm hoping for the end of Perfume. Death by orgy!
Look at these guys. Half of them won't be able to get this memory of their system till they have a bunch of hate crimes on the other half. You know, this might be how the Proud Boys got started. Anyway, Pia Zadora gets invited to join the rock aliens when they play that night. You see, Craig Schaefer won't let her sing with his band because he's a dick. And also, as mentioned before, Music Hitler. Meanwhile, the rest of the aliens are bravely searching for the plot. Instead, they found another musical number. I don't know what the fuck he's doing, but that cow does not look into it.
Hey, leave that cow shit alone. That's the film's script you're messing with. Oh, and we're about to hit a mental institution. That's always a good sign. Especially when Michael Berryman with a chainsaw gets involved.
Hello.
Shut up, or I'll kill you.
What kind of mental facility gives its patients access to a fucking chainsaw?
Clearly, much more interesting ones than you're used to.
Vroom, vroom.
Why the heck are they researching random Earth stuff anyway? I thought they were after rock music, which they already had, by the way. Are they researching for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
Uh-oh, Craig Schaefer and his harem have found Absed sitting with Pia Zadora, and I think I've just worked out why Schaefer doesn't wear a shirt. It's to avoid dry-cleaning blood splatter. The gang takes Absed out back, where he invokes the power of plastic to defend himself.
On the Blu-ray version, you can even clearly see the marks from previous takes on the sheeting. Still, if this was a Paul Matthews film, it would be a swirly CGI thing, so I'd say we got it pretty good.
What the hell is going on here?
You know Clay?
Maybe he's into Scientology or something.
I didn't expect that reference, you puny man-animal.
That guy has rock-hard thetans!
Let's see how that digital dude handles this.
Yeah! Oh yes, our knives and bats didn't work, so naturally a fist will. This is a brilliant plan.
Now, you see, he has to do it because he is a man!
Way too far from home!
Or was a man.
Now he's just a Return of Kings commenter. As per usual, the scene's ejected as soon as they run out of jokes. At least the film's continuing with the most accurate and moving depiction of the mentally ill ever put on screen.
Will that be cash or major credit card?
Major credit card.
Pity they missed a special and phased plasma rifles in the 40-watt range.
Heidi High? Stick a fuck in it, this movie is done.
This guy's gonna be dog meat.
Why is this film continuing? I said it was done.
Because you'd have to get up to turn it off.
You win this round, Voyage of the Rock Aliens. Now, this may look a bit ostentatious, but it's actually an elaborate Robin Hood trap.
Now, there's a fine example of our right to bear arms.
Satire! Oscar-winning actress Ruth Gordon! Uh-oh, I think I killed him again.
It's weird, I simultaneously can't understand why Michael Berryman's in this film, and I think he's easily the best part.
Reminds me of Mom.
Anyway, they're setting up for the bands that night.
I want to know where that alphabet creep is.
I think I know somebody who's jealous.
Why would I be jealous of someone who's about to become recently deceased?
Good work, Craig Sheffer. You're wielding tenses like dangerous weapons. He's also told his guys to make sure the Rock Aliens don't get into the venue tonight. The only band that's going to play is his. Even though he told his band to waste time keeping the other band from getting in.
Don't worry, he'll solve that paradox with threats and hairspray like he always does. Oh, excuse me while we take a brief moment out from this sci-fi musical comedy thing to turn it into a slasher film. Because it's the 80s.
Fifth one today. It's a cut and dry case of a chainsaw murderer.
Where did it take place?
The Southern Fried Chicken. He just left the window.
Aw, he was dying for that chicken.
Ugh, that was a terrible joke.
This is a terrible film!
Well, obviously.
Glad you agree.
Am I speaking to the widow of John S. Lamont?
You must be mistaken. I'm not a widow.
The hell you're not.
Your man is dead. Get over it.
Well, I calculate probability of entry without violence at less than 1%.
Never tell me the odds. So somehow the pack, Schaefer's band, is playing, and without Schaefer, so he really should be storming the stage and punching people any minute now. Now listen carefully, it sounds like they're doing that old classic, the Doppler effect.
Grew up in the shadows like a bird with a broken wing. Getting one bad break after another, so we grew up wondering.
Meanwhile, a deputy is dance fighting Michael Berryman, and it's the closest thing the film has to brilliance. They fight with whisk, a can, and a can opener, and even predate the Naked Gun 2.5 toothbrush bit by 7 years. Anyway, the Rock Aliens bypass the door by teleporting into the little boy's room.
Not born! Shit into existence!
We're stuck.
Sorry, guys. I guess I made a wrong turn.
Why isn't this a trauma film?
Not enough boobs.
Fair enough.
There's no way in.
No way.
All locked up, right? All
Under
right.
control.
Tight as a drum, huh? Impenetrable, huh?
Ooh, I like that.
Then who's that?
You notice how the hair on the Stooges who are slapped gets weirder the further right they are? That's a visualization of fascism.
Then who's that?
And that's a visualization of World War II.
Seeing as he's Music Hitler, I think your metaphor was a little confused. It's alright, I'll distract everyone with an appropriate sound effect. Don't say I never did anything for you, though.
Then who's that?
Whoop, 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 whoop. The Rockians use their mastery over bad editing to teleport onto the stage and begin their song. Pia Zadora finally breaks up with Craig Sheffer. She's going to sing with the Rockians and they're going to make her a star. Like, literally a star. No one's becoming a celebrity off the back of this.
Well, that's an awkward mix of trying to dance and looking like you don't give a fuck about dancing. I can see why Craig Sheffer looks so crushed. He's worked out how long she must have been doing this behind his back to practice all this shit. He's in pain. That's hilarious.
Before you can say Scott Pilgrim versus the soundtrack, Schaefer's band have started their own cover of the Rock Aliens song, and then the aliens start again, and it's like a deranged musical game of badminton. You can't really blame the bands though, since the songs seem mostly forced upon them. This thing really shows what they were forced to work with, a generic dance song without much personality being performed by 3 different groups, Poundshot Devo doing The Wall, Madonna if you squint, and Guitar Wolf if they weren't Japanese.
Have you got anything biting to say about that song?
I prefer the pack's other hit, Johnny Be Mediocre.
It is pretty sad that we got the worst of both worlds, a musical with bands mainly not playing their own stuff and made to act but it's not their strong suit. Though, the idea of turn-based musical combat is so demented it's brilliant.
Less brilliant is 50% of Craig Sheffer's shots being chest-puffing close-ups as he looks like he's getting high off his own bile.
I want to know why Pia Zadora was dancing with a high school senior, and by senior I meant 40-year-old. Pia Zadora stars in Butterfly 2. This time, they're not related.
This sequence's abuse of the 180-degree rule would make a cinematographer weep, even more in the intro to that Texas Chainsaw crossover I did with Welshie. Sometimes they look like they're on the same side of the room, other times it looks like they're on the wrong sides of the room, and the constant cutting doesn't help.
You know, Rhema are actually fucking awesome.
Weird.
Yeah, like, it's like Devo if they were a glam metal band.
Like I said, weird.
You know, if you wanted rid of Craig Sheffer, all you had to do was hose him down. He'd melt into a pool of anger and hairspray. Alas, Pia's friend from the toilets heads off after Sheffer. She senses a possible opening there. Alas, it was made by a chainsaw-wielding Michael Berryman.
AKA the best kind of Michael Berryman.
Except for Weird Science.
Didn't he have a chainsaw on that?
No, I don't think so. We should probably check, though. What's the whole thing? Just to be sure.
It's a deal!
Yeah!
Okay, it's weird that this pre-created a bit from Naked Gun 2, but it also pre-created a bit from Texas Chainsaw 2 by using the saw as a stand-in for the maniac's cock.
What's the matter? Can't you get it on?
Nuts! Now, this is my favourite part of the film. Pia's friend babying Michael Berryman as he fixes his chainsaw so he can finish murdering her with it. This film has the occasional moment of brilliance, and that's one of them. You know, out of all the couples in this film, those two have the most stable relationship. And when he stops trying to murder her, it'll get even better.
Stop shipping a woman and a serial killer!
Why? The film doesn't.
When was the last time you lubricated this thing?
I had it inside someone about an hour ago.
It's okay.
The other serial killer murders the school principal with the school's official drama sandbag. Good thing, too. He was trying to cool off the dance because of all the murder. Keep dancing, guys, with all the pollution in the lake. Most of you will be dead by 30. Wait, it's the morning? What the hell were they doing for hours on this one small stretch of beach infused with a romantic aroma of sulphur?
Clearly, they both realised that Absed looks like Steve Martin if he was a model, and they spent hours considering the ramifications.
I'm an alien.
Well, that's okay. There's lots of English bands.
You can just smell that Scouse accent off him.
Nah, Shropshire.
Scunthorpe.
Trumpton.
That's made up!
Oh, like anyone's been to Scunthorpe.
Funnily enough, according to the internet, Tom Nolan, who plays Absed, is English and Christopher Nolan's cousin.
I'm an alien.
Add that to the ever-growing pile of shit that the internet's wrong about. Anyway, Craig Schaefer has been so affected by Pia Zadora dumping him that he dissolves the band.
No more brutal beatings, gang fights, head stompings. The fun's over.
I'm not even sure he knows what a band is.
But Frankie! Need I elaborate any further? No more violence.
Behind 6 lockers, Schaefer has a secret BDSM spank shrine to Pia Zadora. Is this supposed to be sympathetic?
Dee, I can live without all the rest of it, but I can't live without you.
He's a violent, crazed, abusive, manipulative asshole, and he gets a whole song to tell us about it. Also, he might be the youngest, malest cougar who ever went prowling for young meat in ridiculously tight trousers.
Now the nature of the beast wants to give love and affection. Oh, the nature of the beast doesn't want to end up alone.
He lip syncs less like he's singing and more like he's possessed by a fucking cat.
This thing might be simultaneously the greatest and worst thing the 80s ever achieved. It perfectly sums up how homoerotic the decade didn't realise it was. It's like a gay porno, maybe someone who didn't know what sex was.
I gotta get you back if it's the last thing that I do. Changing a thing, I just can't live without you.
We're on the planet of the cheetah people, intelligent carnivores.
First question, are those 2 women sharing a pair of trousers? Second, when exactly did Craig Schaefer get lost in this desert? 3, are the dancers in leopard print because the director didn't know the difference between a leopard and a puma? And 4, I'm sorry, but was the director Austin Powers?
Yeah, baby! You're like a panther. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no! Like a cougar, like a tiger. Yeah, like an actor who will regret the words saying Paul and Matthews. Yeah, and I'm spent.
When your leading man has more sexual chemistry with a puma than Pia Zadora, you have business as usual, because no one should have sexual chemistry with Pia Zadora.
Oh, the nature of the beast doesn't want to end up alone.
Good decision, that cat looked like it needed a wank. Holy shit, since the band broke up, they've become much more inclusive. Now there's 2 black guys and Weird Al Yankovic.
Pia Zadora is taken onto the spaceship by Absed. The musical number in the dream earlier was originally supposed to go here. Moving it means the thing she's most impressed with on this spaceship is something that looks like Pong.
Video games?
You'll like our planet. Of course, you'll have to get an emelectomy.
A what?
An emulectomy, you have to be turned into a large flightless bird.
Nah, she'll have to have her emotions removed because My Chemical Romance is forbidden on their planet.
Which makes no sense at all. The aliens clearly have emotions. They have them all throughout the film.
There is no love on our planet.
And the whole point of Absed's storyline is that he's in love with her for some reason. It's almost as if they realised how much of a gigantic and unpleasant ass Craig Schaefer's character Frankie was, and had to think of a reason for her to go back to him instead of flying off with the rock aliens like she really should do.
But with all the emotion gone, how can we have, you know,
sex? No, thank you.
On our planet, we have sex almost every night. Almost Monday, almost Tuesday.
Maybe I don't have to have one if we're going just to visit.
It wouldn't be just for a visit.
Free sex or not, she can't bear leaving all that pollution, and I'm talking about the shit they style their hair with. So she goes back to Earth. While Michael Berryman and his lady love are still trying to repair the chainsaw. I wanted a little caption after all this explaining that they married, but divorced via chainsaw a few years later after he ate their baby.
Gnarly.
You want me to give it the first pull? I really can't.
For me.
Here goes.
Schaefer's off to find Pia Zadora. He's promised himself he'll give up the band, music, his gang, everything to be with her. Of course, he's soon attacked by the other lunatic because he's jealous of Berryman's screen time.
I got a lot of people backing me up, man. Hey!
It's a bunch of shit.
Only this film would cut away from Welvet's Leaves being attacked by a knife-wielding crazy person to some people talking about a phone booth. This would be the point where you bring up other movies that have done that.
I can't think of any. I can think of several that would, but none that did.
I win!
You have a very low standard for winning.
You see, the pack of Mustangs were talking about how they're eventually going to end up as a literal Mad Max gang when one of them used a phone booth and successfully left the Matrix, leading the others to work out what they're dealing with.
I don't think those creeps are from our world.
Yeah, I kind of thought they were from Cleveland.
I mean another planet, bonehead!
Get back!
Frankie says, relax, I got this. And got this he does, as he cuts something which makes stuff happen involving death. And just in time for the hentai to start. Seriously, this thing does not know who wants to tentacle rape more. Her, him, the whole school. Still, we get the finale that most rock and roll musical sci-fi vanity project comedies or cooking shows dream of. A chainsaw-wielding Michael Berryman turned hibachi chef.
The squid's dead now, pity no one told the rest of the model. That must have been a load-bearing tentacle.
You were terrific. You want to take a little walk?
You bet.
Oh, Michael Berryman looks like an excited kid with progeria lived into his 30s.
You horrify me sometimes. Piers Adora and Craig Sheffer make up again because all of his soul-searching in song totally happened with her in earshot. Apsev returns to the ship to discover it wrecked by a member of Schaefer's gang who teleported up, and we finally get to see a fire hydrant pee on a dog.
You leave me no choice. I'm not what you think I am. Look, it's nothing personal. I'm on a mission.
She stays open-hearted.
Sounds like Sweet Dreams Are Made of This, hollowed out and replaced with Trivium lyrics. Ugh.
Yeah, I can see that.
Kinda like it.
They send the random Pat guy home. They should have just assimilated him. His screaming would have been hilarious. The aliens leave with a few parting gifts for the town. They turn the pack into literal Boy Scouts. That makes perfect fucking sense. Clean up the lake and finish the film's transformation into a music video.
You know that we can have it all, and everything will be alright.
They also somehow stitched Jermaine Jackson's voice from the first fucking song to Craig Sheffer.
Oh, the sun behind, we still can't see the light that shines right you and me.
Apart from that, most people have memories. We've seen his work with Paul Matthews, we've heard his voice. His singing's much more like this.
She was out. Berserker Hell's warrior.
I'm not David Boreanaz.
Good work, Pia. Stay here with your abusive boyfriend. At least he's a decent blue screen.
Yeah, take him back because he promised that he'd change. While you're in a spaceship, very out of earshot. He won't be an abusive fuck anymore. That totally makes up for him being an abusive fuck beforehand. And he only promised he wouldn't be shitty to her. He can still threaten and damage anyone else that annoys him.
This is fucked.
Yeah, what is it with Craig Sheffer films having really shit endings for women?
Beyond this, the pack were just dumb, loud, and rowdy, while Schaefer was a fucking monster. They got mind-raped while he's left forever remembering that his glory years were kissing Pia Zadora as allegedly a teenager. Much like the real Craig Sheffer.
Actually, I think the pack got off easy. Anything else happen? Well, the sheriff killed 2 guys with a steamroller. This might be a silly film in retrospect. Voyage of the Rock Aliens is one of those flicks that's more like a hallucination than a film. Like a speedball of 80s culture, Rock Aliens is like Grease mixed with early MTV while channel surfing with a sci-fi B-movie from the 50s, with the coherency that implies. It's a film that has to be seen to be believed, but it's so scatterbrained that it's a tough sit. Even the era's greatest junkie might find the sheer amount of unrestrained synth, padded shoulders, and coiffed hair that could suspend the Golden Gate Bridge overwhelming. It's hard to know what exactly it's trying to be. As a Piers Adora film, there's long stretches she's not in. As a launch pad for the bands featured, they're stymied by having to act.
This whole thing fucked up badly for Rhema. The film was delayed 4 years, so when it was finally released, the bandwagon they jumped on was already gone. They were quickly dropped from the label, and their music, outside of the soundtrack, became almost impossible to find. Eventually they broke up, everyone went back to their normal lives, and decades later the last known copies of a bunch of their songs were lost when one of them's PCs died. Most of what survives is online, showing how few fucks the record company still gives. Did they deserve better? I'm gonna say fuck yes. Did the Mustangs? Nah, they seem to be doing fine, still recording, still touring, so nah.
Okay, it doesn't even know if it's an actual film or a feature-length music video. It really is all over the place, and there is something of a charm in that, but I can certainly say that there's nothing quite like Voyage of the Rock Aliens, for better or worse. It's so bubblegum and light-hearted, and more than a little aware that it's trash, but it's amiably doing its own crazy thing. A 100% pure odyssey from start to finish.
I have a love-hate relationship with this film. In small pieces, it's a beautiful trip. Like a John Hughes film with no filter and random songs superglued everywhere. But it gets old, and eventually you've seen too much madness. The film loses its charm, and you just want it to fucking end. But if you keep watching it, you can fall in love again. It's just so irrepressible and dedicated to doing its own thing. I'm so glad this film exists, and I'm even gladder that I made you sit through it with me.
Well, thank you. Oh, don't sweat it, Brian. And remember, regardless of how bad the world gets, regardless of what happens, we'll always have Craig Schaefer's deeply hilarious film career.
And Paul Matthews.
Oh yeah, Paul Matthews. He did a film about a little unicorn, and I'm gonna make you watch it at some point in the future.
Why did I remind you?
From my heart and from my hand, why don't people understand my intention?
Weird science. Well, this film is more problematic than I remember.
Yeah, isn't it just basically like two teens creating themselves like a human sex doll, but with superpowers?
Well, yeah, basically she's God and she doesn't actually have sex with them. For reasons. Oh. Still, Bill Paxton's in it, and Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah, so the Junior isn't even part of his name.
Wow. What, did he not evolve a dad yet?
Well, the Winter Soldier killed him, I imagine.
Oh, that's awesome.
Probably not for him. He lost a dad.
Yeah, but he gained a hetero life mate in Robert Russler.
And later on he will make some sort of like Iron Man mech suit and